So, I just wanted to do a quick video for the channel on can you run fast without carbs? Because one of the biggest questions I get asked is, can I run fast without carbs? And the simple answer is yes. I mean, n equals one for me at least, obviously, but there's many others out there that I've seen videos with of decathletes and stuff like that do it that use carnivore or low carb. Um, so some of it may depend on the distance, but I've run up to half marathons in times that a lot of people would consider fast. I know I certainly would. And that's not me bragging or anything. I'm far from one of the top runners out there, even top local runners. But so yeah, the little screenshot I've got here shows a few of the PBs I've been setting recently at park runs. So back even a couple of years ago, I never would have believed I could have run 17:23 back when I was high carb and constantly had a high fat around my belly. Um, I could barely, I don't even know if I really did break 30 minutes. And now carnivore, so zero carb for going on 3 years, and I'm running low 17s, and I've set 5 PBs in the last 6 weeks that I've tried. So, and that's in a short time but span as well. So, yeah, you can run fast without carbs, and arguably, you a lot of people would argue it would be healthier for you in the long run than spiking your insulin and eating all of those carbs. You see a lot of ex-athletes that were told to, got a carb load, and then they think carbs are super healthy all the time. They retire, they reduce their exercise, and then they get fat. And that's not too uncommon. So, yeah, as I say, help of Pikachu and Kermit the Frog here, that they agree with me. You can run fast without carbs. And there's a lot of work that's been done by people like Tim Noakes, who's a massive advocate for this. He was such a popular sports scientist, back with Law of Running came out, and then various versions of Law of Running, and yeah, he said you should take out the nutrition bit from there and burn it. There are people that will perform better with carbs, but a lot of people, if for no other reason purely than the weight loss, will perform better without carbs. So if you're thinking of people at, say, for me a park run, so I don't know, there's a lot of people, bell-shaped curve is shifting backwards. The average time is probably close to 28 minutes on my local park run now. And a lot of those people that are running, say, 30 minutes plus, not all of them, far from all of them, a lot of them would be considered overweight to some extent. And a lot of that probably comes from their carb consumption and their insulin resistance. So they will be quicker purely because of the weight loss. And especially over a distance like 5K, where you're definitely not going to bonk, as some people say, from carbs. And arguably, as I say, people like Tim Noakes have shown that actually the more you go low carb, the higher your fat burning can get. And a lot of the studies that disprove this, because they haven't given long enough for the athletes to adapt, and so they haven't optimized their fat burning. And so there's obviously a lot of money to be made out there in things like the sports nutrition supplements and stuff that you can get. And there's no money to be made out there from telling people you can do it low carb or no carb. The meat industry, not going to make any loads and loads of extra money just because people start eating beef or whatever compared to all these fancy products that different companies make. So there certainly is an issue there with funding. As I've already touched on, will it be faster for everyone? Possibly not. As I say, there are some people that respond incredibly well to carbs. And again, this is something that I've heard Tim Noakes talk about. Those elite athletes might well be elite athletes, partly because they can process carbs. And carbs can be a slightly better fuel source for the real top end elite people. Where that threshold is, I don't know, because obviously I'm zero carb and I'm running low 17 minutes and I'm hoping to improve on that. I mean, who knows where that will end? I'm hoping definitely to get sub 17, but I've not set a limit on what I'm hoping to achieve. So where that threshold is of, the elite, sub elite, or like me, not in the elite category at all, where is that threshold of when someone becomes faster with carbs? Because I say a lot of people that I speak to that run my sort of pace would never dream of dropping carbs because it's all they've ever known, and they've never been obese or whatever and so yeah, they can process them to some extent. Now, just because they may be fractionally, I doubt it is much, especially over distances like 5K. Over a marathon, I don't know, but I don't think humans really should be running marathons. So half marathons, definitely fine below no carb. I've done that myself in a decent time that was reflected sort of the conversion from my 5K times. So I think halves are absolutely fine. But yeah, where that conversion lies, I don't know. But and how much of a difference it would make to those people, I don't know how much it's making. But will low carb be healthier? Almost certainly for most people. If you're removing seed oils, you're removing all the anti-nutrients and stuff that are in these various foods and things and pesticides and all that stuff. I won't go into detail because I'm not an expert on that, and there's loads of people out there like your Tim Noakes and your Plant Free MD and Sean Baker and all these things. Those people have done much more research into that. So yeah, I would argue the low carb would be healthier for the majority of people, certainly in the long run. A lot of these high carb runners will probably hit insulin resistance by the time they get to say 50 and start putting weight on and not know what to do about it. Some will be lucky, like some I know who are still so skinny, but some of them have still had heart attacks in their 60s and stuff, and they've been running all their lives. They've been eating high carb, low fat because that's what the recommendations are. And yeah, and there's been some interesting articles recently about cholesterol levels and how actually in low carb athletes you would expect, well, not athletes, low carb people you expect higher cholesterol, and actually that's well tolerated. But again, I won't go into that because it's not my place. And as I say, in some respects, they can be an advantage because, especially when you get sort of, say, for me, half marathon distance. In the half marathon I did last year, I ran 125. It was a hilly course. Conditions were pretty good, but it's probably more of a 122-ish. Someone that I beat in a 10K a couple of weeks before ran a 122 half at a flatter event at the same time. So it's probably equivalent about of a 122. And the number of people I was overtaking at the end that were chugging down gels and stuff, and I was running it fasted. So yeah, you do have access to a much bigger fuel tank here, as it shows. I don't like the use of calories, but it's a standard unit that people know. So yeah, you do have access to a bigger fuel tank if you are low carb or fat adapted, because you can tap into your fat source easier. Whereas, if you're not fat adapted, you're limited to that 2,000 calorie fuel tank as it's put there. Obviously, that's courtesy of the muscle PhD thing that I found this picture on. And that is the end of this presentation. I haven't got much to say other than clearly I've shown that you can run relatively quick, and there's people out there that run quicker than me or do decathlons and things like that. And I feel, and I try to be as myself, people need to be more open-minded. And yeah, I think that's Percy Cerruti in one of his books, the Athletics: How to Become a Champion. He said that this is like 50, 60 years ago that was originally published, and he said that too many people are closed-minded to new ideas, and you've got to be open-minded to the fact there might be better options out there, and a lot of people just aren't. So yeah, that's my advice: is at least to be open-minded and look into your options and see what's out there, and who knows what you might find that could improve your performance. And if you've got anything you'd like me to try, let me know and I'll look into it. Obviously, I'm very unlikely to change my diet at this time because I'm doing so well and enjoying it so much. But if you've got anything else, any sort of strength training tips or things that you'd like me to give a go, then please let me know.